Hello everyone. In this video, we're going to talk about the general idea of the lymphatic system. What is the lymphatic system? What is it composed of? How does it work? And then we're going to go ahead and explain the differences between the regions based on the module. Now, what is lymph? Lymph is basically a fluid, all right, that is that helps the venous system to drain the fluid from the interstitial fluid. So if I have an interstitial fluid and I want to transport high molecular weight kind of material, if I want to drain some of the proteins, vitamins, sometimes lipids, which is what happens in the GIT, all right, by the lacteals. All right, so this is basically done by the lymphatic system. I take the fluid all the way back to the heart and I help the venous system to drain most of the interstitial fluid from the tissue itself. Now, based on what I will study the lymphatic vessel itself, based on the location we are in. If we are studying about the body wall, upper limbs or lower limbs, you guys need to know that the lymph vessels are accompanying the veins. So superficially and in the limbs, we are accompanying the veins. And if we are in the thorax or abdomen, it means that the lymphatic vessel is basically associated with the arteries. So if I have an artery, all right, in the thorax or abdomen, so I would expect it to see the lymph vessels running with them, all right? And I'm gonna take also names from the regional arteries. Let's go ahead and see more details about the lymphatic system. And then we're going to go ahead and see what happens in each one of the regions of the body in separate videos based on the module. So the lymphatic system consists of a lymph vessel that needs to drain the lymph, and we're going to talk about that in the next slide. The lymphatic tissue itself, so I'm starting off in a tissue, and that tissue could be a primary lymphatic tissue or it could be secondary lymphatic tissue. What's the difference? The primary one is basically the thymus and bone marrow. It's basically where the lymphocytes are maturing. Okay, so if I have maturation of lymphocytes, it means this is your primary lymphatic tissue. It's the basic, the most important ones. Now, if I have an area of aggregation of lymphocytes, and if they are residing somewhere where I need to activate them, it means this is a secondary lymphoid tissue, and that would be in the spleen, in the lymph node, in the MALT, which is the mucosa-associated lymphatic tissue. Remember, for example, your Peyer's patches or in any aggregation of lymphocytes and lymphatic tissue in your associated with the mucosal lining, all right, that would be a secondary lymphatic tissue. And the last thing is, if the tissue itself is encapsulated, I can call it a lymphatic organ. And an example of that, thymus, the tonsils, the spleen, and the lymph node. So these are basically the names you guys are gonna hear a lot when we talk about the lymphatic system. So just make sure that you understand them. So if you have a vessel, it means this is the vessel that drains the lymph. If you have nodes, okay, these are also parts of the system. You can have a tissue itself where everything is going to start, and you can have the organs when the lymphoid tissue are encapsulated. Now, how does the lymphatic system work? It basically starts at the tissue level from the capillaries, and from the capillaries, from the lymphatic capillaries, it moves all the way through the lymphatic vessel, and then from the vessel, it goes all the way to the lymph node where it gets filtered, and then through the lymphatic trunk, it goes all the way to a duct. And in our body, we have only two ducts, the lymphatic duct and the thoracic duct. Thoracic duct drains from all of your body except the part that's drained by the lymphatic duct. And we're going to talk about that in more details as we proceed. Okay, so this is how the lymph moves. Now, what are the lymph trunks? First of all, the lymph vessel is just a lymph vessel. It's simple and easy. Capillary is simple and easy. Nodes, they will get names based on where they are. But what we need to know now is that we have different names of lymph trunks, and that's very important because you need to know what kind of trunk are you expecting to see the drainage of a specific organ, and what is the name of the flow of the trunks, how do they proceed, and from one node to another and from one group to another. So you need to know the trunks, and then you need to know which duct it drains into. All right, so let's go ahead and see how many trunks do we have. So we have four paired sets of trunks. All right, we have the jugular trunk that drains from the neck. All right, and then we have the subclavian trunk that drains from the upper limb, and then we have the bronchomediastinal that drains from the chest, and then we have the lumbar trunks, all right, that drains from the lower side of the body, and then we have multi-leveled intercostal trunks. We cannot say that they are paired or unpaired, they are multi-leveled. And then we have unpaired intestinal trunk. All right, so that one is what we're going to talk about into more details when we go and explain about the gut. And all of these, we will mention them as we get into these regions of the body. So let's proceed and see what we'll get. So after the trunk, we need to know that they need to eventually drain into the duct. All right, so we are moving from the smaller structure to a bigger structure, from the capillary to a vessel, and then node, and then trunk, and then duct, and then all the way to the venous system. Now, we have two types of lymphatic ducts. We have the right lymphatic duct, and then we have the thoracic duct. The right lymphatic duct drains from the right side of the body, only the upper right side of the body. I usually, for myself, I say right lymphatic duct. Why? Because I want to train my brain. Whenever I say lymphatic duct, it's right only. Whenever I say thoracic, it's everywhere. It means this is on the left side of the body. All right, so I have right lymphatic duct and thoracic duct. Thoracic duct runs in the left side, and it also drains from everywhere, from down, from up, from everywhere, except the upper right side of the body, which is drained by the right lymphatic duct. So which trunks are opening into the right lymphatic duct? It's basically the right jugular, the bronchomediastinal, and subclavian. Why? Because you guys know that the right lymphatic drains from the right side of the body, upper. So what are the upper parts that you have? You have the trunk that drains from your neck, which is the jugular. You have the trunk that drains from your upper limb, which is the subclavian. And you have the part that drains from parts of the right side of your chest, which is the bronchomediastinal. So only these three trunks drain into right lymphatic duct. And when I have the right lymphatic duct, I need to open into the venous system. However, if I say the thoracic duct, it drains from the left jugular from the neck, drains from the left subclavian upper limb, it drains from left bronchomediastinal, from the lumbar, all of the lumbar, the intestinal, everywhere of the body, all of the lower limbs, everything drains into the thoracic duct. So only these three, they drain into the right lymphatic, and all of the other trunks, they drain into the thoracic duct. Okay, so where does that open? The right lymphatic duct and the thoracic duct, they drain into the angle of the junction between the internal jugular vein and the subclavian vein. Because you guys know that in order to form the superior vena cava, we have a union of left and right brachiocephalic veins. And the brachiocephalic vein is formed by union of internal jugular that drains from everywhere up, and the subclavian that drains from everything in the upper limbs, here from head and neck, and there from the upper limbs. So internal jugular vein, subclavian, they form the right brachiocephalic right and left, they form the superior vena cava. So now, because these lymphatic ducts, they want to drain from everywhere, eventually they will open at the junction or the angle of the junction or union between the internal jugular vein and the subclavian. If it's lymphatic duct, right, then that angle is on the right side. If it's the thoracic duct, then the angle is on the left side. And these are the areas that drains into the thoracic duct. And this is only the area that drains into the right lymphatic duct. So thank you guys for listening to this video. I hope you have a general idea about the lymphatic system. See you in the regional lymphatic system of the regions of the body based on the module. See you.